I used to think that gold was one of the rarest elements in the universe, but turns out that's not entirely true. In fact, gold is everywhere. It's just that most of it is really hard to find because it's inside rocks like this one called peridotite. Peridotite is mostly made up of two minerals, olivine and pyroxene. And these two minerals have a lot of iron, magnesium, and calcium in them. This is why when you look at the Earth's mantle on Google Earth, it's all green. Green is the color of the Earth's mantle, but sometimes this rock has a little bit of something else, a little bit of gold. Now, since gold is so dense, if you're looking for it in this rock, it's basically like finding a needle in a haystack. So no one really bothers looking for it, but once in a while, gold will appear on the surface of the Earth's mantle. And when that happens, we call it an ultramafic rock. These rocks are still mostly green, but they also have veins of black minerals, like chromite and magnetite. And in between those black minerals is some gold. The good news is that these rocks are really easy to find because they stick out. The bad news is that there's not very much gold in them, so mining these rocks isn't very profitable. NASA, though, doesn't mine their gold. They steal it from other planets. And let me tell you, that's a lot easier than mining it here. Gold is actually really abundant on asteroids. In fact, there's a whole group of asteroids that are mostly made up of gold. For example, there's 16 Psyche. It's named after the Greek goddess of the soul. And its official name is 16 Psyche, provisional designation 2013 TV-135. Its diameter is about 270 miles or 435 kilometers across. And scientists estimate that it's worth around $10 quadrillion. That's 10 with a Q. And that's just Psyche. There are plenty more asteroids like that. But the real question is, how do you get it off the asteroid? Well, it turns out that gold is soft. In fact, it's the second softest element on the periodic table. Only cesium is softer. That means that if you hit gold with enough force, it will dent. And if you can dent it, you can vaporize it. You see, when something gets really, really cold, it becomes really, really hard. And when something gets really, really hot, it becomes really, really soft. That's what makes Psyche such a good target for mining. It's big, and it's made of gold. But Psyche isn't close enough to the Earth for NASA to use lasers to vaporize the gold. So instead, they'd have to send a mining ship out to it. And then on this mining ship, they would have a drill that could bore a hole into the surface of Psyche. Once the drill was in deep enough, they could start vaporizing the gold with a laser. Then all they'd need to do is scoop it up and bring it home. Easy profit. Except, looks like a bunch of meteorites just destroyed Psyche. So maybe try a different asteroid. Asteroid 3361, resolved by the impact, is probably still intact. And if NASA goes there and uses the same strategy, they can make a decent profit. After all, 3361 resolved is worth around $10 billion. That's 10 with a B. But the thing is, NASA can't mine asteroids with lasers unless they first map the surface of the asteroid. And to map the surface of the asteroid, they need gold. Gold is the perfect material for making a spacecraft heat shield because it reflects 95% of the sunlight that hits it. That leaves only 5% of the energy from the sun actually hitting the spacecraft. So with a gold heat shield, NASA can protect their spacecraft from getting burned up during atmospheric re-entry. And without gold, they wouldn't be able to land spacecraft on Mercury. And if they can't land spacecraft on Mercury, they can't map the surface of Mercury. And if they can't map the surface of Mercury, they can't mine Mercury. And if they can't mine Mercury, they can't build a base on Mercury. And if they can't build a base on Mercury, they won't be able to launch their mining ships to asteroids. And if they can't mine asteroids, they won't have any money to buy gold. And if they don't have any gold, they can't make heat shields and they can't go to Mercury. And if they can't go to Mercury, they can't map Mercury. Okay, got it. So where does NASA get their gold? Well, they mine it. Of course, NASA mines gold right here on the Earth. They've been doing it for years. I mean, if NASA can't even mine gold here on Earth, how are they going to go out to Mercury and mine it in space? But where do they mine it? Well, one place they go is South Africa. That's because South Africa has the world's deepest gold mine. It's called the Mponeng Mine. It's under the city of Carltonville. The entrances are right next to each other. One leads to the Mponeng Mine, and the other leads to the Vaal River. You can see the entrance to the Vaal River on Google Earth. It's this black hole here. If you zoom in, you can see the entrance to the Mponeng gold mine right beside it. This mine is 3.8 kilometers deep. And to put that in perspective, that's deeper than the Mariana Trench. The Mariana Trench is 6.8 miles deep. The Mponeng gold mine is 2.4 miles deep. That's almost as deep as the mine as the deepest part of the ocean, but that's nothing compared to the Kolar gold mine. The Kolar gold mine is located in India. It's right outside the city of Kolar. And the entrances are hidden in the forest. You can see the forest on Google Earth. You can also see where the entrances are. But can you see the entrances? Well, you can if you zoom in. These two dark spots are the entrances to the Kolar gold mine. These entrances lead down to 2.7 miles deep, which is 350 meters deep. This is deeper than the Mponeng gold mine, but it's still nowhere near as deep as the Earth. The Earth is 12,142 kilometers deep. That means that all of these mines are pretty shallow. In fact, they're so shallow that if you wanted to drill a hole all the way through the Earth, you wouldn't even break the crust. The crust is 40 kilometers thick, and if you drilled through the crust, you'd end up in the mantle. But you don't want to go in the mantle because the mantle is too hot. So where does NASA get their gold? Well, they mine it right here on Earth, just like I said. But the thing is, they don't mine it very much. All they need is a few kilograms every year, which is not very much at all. So where do they get it? Well, it turns out that NASA gets most of their gold from military contractors. You see, the U.S. military is always working on new weapons and technologies, and sometimes they create materials that NASA needs. For example, the U.S. military once created a material called gold titanium, which is 90% efficient at reflecting radio waves. NASA realized that this material would be great for protecting spacecraft from radio wave radiation, so they started buying it from the military. Another reason why NASA doesn't mine their own gold is because it's too expensive. For example, a pound of gold costs $400,000. And if you're going to ship that gold to another planet, it'll cost you millions of dollars. So instead, NASA just buys the gold from companies like Credit Suisse and HSBC.